Hey guys, good morning and welcome to another episode of Motorcyclist MC Commute. You guys know the deal. We're going to be riding to the motorcyclist office in Southern California on Ducati's 2020 Streetfighter V4 S. So let's throw the helmet on and go for a ride.
All right, guys, here it is, Ducati's 2020 Streetfighter V4 S. This is Ducati's top of the line naked performance sport bike. It's modeled after the Panigale V4 superbike, minus full lower fairing, minus full front fairing and windshield, minus clip-on style bars, add a conventional handlebar. And that is what the Streetfighter V4 S is all about. It's about raw power, raw performance, beautiful styling, and a more upright riding position for riding on the road. Of course, with approximately 187 horsepower at the back tire, this thing is a gnarly street bike. Even though it's designed for road use, this thing is borderline absurd for riding on the street. It's that powerful. But enough talking about it. Let's hop on this thing and see what it's like to ride. All right, guys, here we go. A mechanical key. Thank you, Ducati. I am very happy for having a mechanical key. Here we go, guys. Right now, we're riding in street mode. This Streetfighter V4 S has a smorgasbord of electronic rider aids, all controlled with this 5-inch color TFT display. This display is not touchscreen. You have to manipulate all of the controls with the switchgear on the left-hand side handlebar. And it's not easy to figure out. The intuitiveness of the menu is lacking. Yes, it's significantly better than previous Ducatis, but they were lacking. So it's going to take you a while to figure out the menu system and how to adjust everything. Even now, as you can see, it's kind of cumbersome. The riding modes is really where you set everything up at. We've put a custom setting in, so we spent some time riding this bike the last few days, and just from our experience on the Panigale V4 S and other Panigales, we already know how to set this thing up to our liking. Basically, the setting I like to go with on this bike is maximum power, obviously. Maximum power, hard-hitting throttle response, but to be fair, the throttle response on this bike is way smoother than we've ever experienced on any Panigale V4 S, but we'll get to that in a second. So maximum power, engine brake in mode 1, which is the most amount of engine braking. To be fair, there's not a huge difference between engine braking mode 1, which is most engine braking, and mode 3, which is least. Yes, you can feel the difference, but it's not that huge. The difference on other motorcycle manufacturers with engine brake control is much more substantial. So, engine brake 3, most amount of engine brake control. Suspension. This motorcycle is set up with Ducati's DES suspension, Ducati electronic suspension. It's a semi-active suspension control in which the computer automatically adjusts in real time the compression and rebound damping circuits of the fork and shock based on control input, i.e. brake input and throttle input, and vehicle conditions. So right now we have it in the dynamic mode, which allows the system to automatically adjust these damping settings in real time. But instead of running the stock base settings, we've cranked up the brake support. Brake support is how much damping support the fork offers when you're hammering on the front brake. I like that at maximum, so we've maxed that setting out. We've also maxed out the setting of the fork response. This motorcycle While I like the suspension, and the suspension does a good job of delivering favorable ride quality on the street, it's a little bit too springy, a little bit too fast for my taste. So I've cranked that, I maxed out both the settings, also maxed out the shock setting too. And what that does is it gives the motorcycle a little bit slower suspension response. So the suspension isn't so divey, isn't so springy feeling, more planted. You know, one of the things that Ducati always does is their test rider in Italy, he loves active feeling motorcycles. So over the years, all the Ducati sport bikes have always had this real active suspension manner. And while some riders like it, personally, I don't like bikes like that. I like bikes that are real calm and handle very slowly in terms of suspension action. So it's really amazing because the test riders of these motorcycles really have a lot of say in the handling dynamic of these motorcycles. But thankfully you can adjust that and you can slow down the propensity of the chassis on its movement. While we're talking on chassis, this motorcycle, my God, this thing is unbelievably agile. I can't believe a liter plus sized street bike can be so agile, but this Streetfighter V4 S is just unbelievable. 439 pounds with a full 4.2 gallons of fuel, but this thing is just insanely agile. It just goes exactly where you want it. While the suspension is good, maybe not excellent, the suspension is good, the chassis and the handling is downright excellent. I can't believe how maneuverable this motorcycle is. Kudos to Ducati. We skipped ahead of ourselves a little bit, but the ergonomics package on this bike, obviously, you know, this is a Panigale V4, sans front fairing, sans lower, sans clip-ons, and you get this aluminum handlebar. And the ergonomics on this motorcycle are very well proportioned. I'm 6 foot tall, weigh around 184 pounds on the scale this morning, and I like how uncompromising this ergonomics package is. Sorry guys, we're speeding a little bit to get this green light. I don't want to be stuck at the red light, so I sped a little bit. Hope you don't tell anyone. And the ergonomics on this package is excellent. It's a very comfortable bike to ride. You wouldn't think a superbike based street bike would be so comfortable, but they did a really good job with the handlebar bend. The rearward sweep isn't excessive. The rise isn't excessive. Everything is just right. A really balanced feeling handlebar. The foot peg assemblies also have been modified. There's a little bit more legroom compared to the Panigale Superbike. Right now we have this instrument cluster in night mode, so white fonts on black background. The setting is pretty dark. It's kind of hard to see right now. Perhaps you can adjust that. I can't really remember if you can do that. Let's see right now. Night. I don't think you can adjust it. You can put it in day mode, but I don't like day mode. Here we are in the menu, super cumbersome. Let's go back here. Let's put it in day mode just so you guys can see there. I don't like the white numbers or the black numbers on the white face, just like my iPhone. I don't want it this way, but whatever, we'll just run it just so you guys can see. We can adjust all of the electronic set, not all of them, but some of them here. Ducati stability control, Ducati traction control. I appreciate Ducati putting all these features on here, but their traction control is just, it's just, you have to be riding at an extremely high level to even feel the thing working. We recently rode a competitor's middleweight parallel twin offering, and the traction control system on that bike actually complemented the handling. While I'm not going to say the traction control doesn't complement the handling on this bike, the demeanor of the power and the chassis and everything, it's just everything hits so hard on this motorcycle that you really have to be wailing at an uncomfortable speed to even feel the traction control engage. And that's at a relatively moderate DTC setting of 5. So back to electronics though, you can set this bike up the way you want. We're on ABS level 2. ABS level 2 has cornering function. Rear ABS is enabled. I like riding in ABS level 2. I can't ride the bike hard enough to even feel ABS intervene, or at least at a street pace I can't. Fuel mileage wise, we've gotten, you know, right around 28 miles to a gallon. This bike is thirsty. This engine is extremely thirsty. 1103 cc V4 engine. This is the same engine that Ducati uses in its Panigale V4. 80 millimeter bore. This engine is awesome. I love the engine in this bike. It sounds cool. It sticks to the script. Ducati's L-twin engines have always had a very unique sound and feel, and this engine has that V-twin sound and feel, yet it has the balls and the might of a V4. You ride this thing at the lower RPMs and it feels very much like a V-twin, has good grunt. Yet if you get this engine spooling north of 11,000 RPMs, it is literally vicious how hard, how fast this engine accelerates. I can't even believe this thing is street legal. You know, when you got the engine spinning north of 10, 11, 12,000 RPMs, you better be hanging on, because this thing just accelerates so violently, it's insane. And the sound the engine makes, the sound that this engine makes when you are giving her the beans. Literally, people on the side of the road are scared. They're scared. This motorcycle sounds like the world is ending. It's unbelievable. Realistically, you need a big open stretch of road to let this thing wind out through the gears. This bike is equipped with Ducati's quick shifter. Electronic quick shifter allows clutchless up and down shifts like we're doing here. The electronic quick shifter works really well, but it's a little bit slow in its shifting. It could shift a little faster. I feel like the Panigale V4 shift programming is much quicker. Give that guy a thumbs up. Love other fellow motorcycle riders. The electronic quick shifter could be faster. It feels a little bit lazy. I love that. That guy should be wearing an appropriate motorcycle jacket and motorcycle boots and gloves like we're wearing. Safety is paramount here at Motorcyclist Magazine. I know everyone sees me zipping around at high rates of speed and doing these crazy maneuvers, but at the same time, safety is paramount. Make sure you're always wearing the appropriate motorcycle gear from head to toe. That'll mitigate problems when you're riding on the street. Back to the engine. The engine on this bike is just insane. It is so powerful. The last time we dyno tested this engine in the Panigale V4, it produced 187 horsepower. And I wouldn't think this engine is far behind it. This engine does feel a lot smoother and more well-fueled than the Panigale V4 S. These Ducati sport bikes notoriously always have poor fueling from the factory due to EPA noise or whatever. These engines always need a power commander or a flash to get them running right. Not the Streetfighter V4 S. The fueling on this motorcycle is very, very good. It creates a smoother running engine. This engine almost seems like it vibrates less just because it has the proper fueling. You know, I feel a little bit of vibrations through the controls, but it's not off-putting at all. It's very nice feeling and makes you feel like you're riding something special. So good job, Ducati, on the engine fueling and the overall dynamic of this bike. Finding neutral can be a little bit of a bear. The transmission is a little stiff. Alright guys, we talked about the handling, we rode this thing in the canyons, and God, this thing handles great. We're riding on Pirelli's Diablo Rosso Corsa 2 tires. This is a high performance tire from Pirelli, and it's awesome. These tires work really good. They have good feel, good grip. The profile of the tire isn't crazy aggressive, which actually works really well because the handling of this motorcycle is a little bit aggressive. So to have a more neutral tire profile complements the chassis well and helps it from being too crazy aggressive to ride. There is no cruise control. I wish this bike had cruise control. I'm always speeding on it. Half the reason I'm always speeding on it is because I'm in top gear right now, running at 65 RPM, and we still have another 5,000 some RPMs to go. I'm sorry, 8,000 RPM to go before we're in redline. Unbelievable amount of rev range this bike has. This bike is set up for heated grips, but it doesn't have that feature. Ducati offers heated grips as a $360 accessory. So you buy the bike, it's got the button, you have to buy the $360 wiring kit, which allows for heated grips. But what we'd really like to see is cruise control. Please add cruise control, Ducati. Your competitors in the segment have cruise control. You should too. Mirrors do a decent job of showing you what's behind you. The headlight on this motorcycle, we rode this bike at night, and in a straight line the LED headlamp works very well. It's angled a little high, but not bad at all. But what we'd like to see is cornering headlights. You know, considering how adept this motorcycle is at cornering, you're gonna want cornering headlights for night riding. So Ducati, please add cornering headlights for the $24,000 MSRP that this V4 S costs. It should have cruise control and cornering headlamps standard. Alright guys, we're going to be droning on the freeway for quite some time now. We'll check in with you guys in a little bit. Thank you for watching. Welcome back guys, we're exiting the freeway. That freeway drone wasn't as bad as I thought it would be on this Streetfighter V4 S. This seat, the V4 S, features a plush raised seat. The seat height's actually a little bit taller than the sport bike version, and it's actually pretty comfortable. I mean, you wouldn't want to be touring across America on it, but for, you know, an hour or so in the saddle, not bad at all. Of course, not having a front fairing and windscreen really compromises the comfort on the freeway. These naked bikes are cool, but they're also not really good for going places on the freeway just because you're getting blasted with air. So it always kind of surprises me why the popularity of these bikes, because realistically, I think sport bikes are better. Yeah, the ergonomics are a little tighter, but having a windscreen and a front fairing to push air up and around you, it's just, it's awesome. Hydraulically actuated clutch on this bike. Clutch pull is still, I wouldn't say it's heavy, but you need a little bit of hand strength to operate the clutch. You'd think for having hydraulic assist it would be even easier. Lever adjustments on each lever allows you to tailor the position. These Ducati motorcycles, oddly enough, don't have a conventional twist style deton. Instead, they have these knobs on there, which makes adjustment a little trickier in my opinion, but it's still nice that it offers that adjustment. All right guys, finally a green light. Here we go. Coming up to the wheelie test. We've already manually disabled Ducati wheelie control. That's a setting you can do in the menu system. We already did that. DWC off. Let's give her some beans. Jesus, this bike. There we go. For whatever reason, it felt like there was some traction control still in there. DTC5, I think that had something to do with it. That wheelie should have been way better, but whatever. That was a fun ride on this Streetfighter V4 S. I can't say enough how much I like this engine. Yeah, it's brutal. Yeah, it's peaky. Yeah, it makes the bike a little difficult to ride. But God, it sounds so awesome. And it has so much beans. It's literally insane that they've made a motorcycle. Like, it's crazy that you can make an engine that's that ferocious and put it in a street bike and sell it in the United States for $20,000, $24,000 in V4S trim. Well, guys, there she is, Ducati's 2020 Streetfighter V4 S. Gosh, I like this bike a lot. It's fast as hell. It looks awesome, and it handles just unbelievably. All right, guys, let's do some Q&A real quick. Straight to the top here. What espresso-based drink best describes exhaust aroma? Very good, very good. Good question. I don't know, just pure espresso with lots of sugar. That's how I would define this bike. How's the heat distribution? Also, do you think $24,000 is worth it? Heat distribution is not that bad on this motorcycle. To be fair, I haven't really ridden it in a hot day. The ambient air temperature has been no warmer than 75 degrees Fahrenheit. So it really hasn't roasted me. Ducati instituted cylinder deactivation once the coolant temp arrives at 160 degrees F. At idle, the back cylinders automatically deactivate to help mitigate heat, excess heat at stoplights. I've ridden the Panigale obviously in the summertime, and the Panigale kicks off an insane amount of heat. So when it's warm out, I would presume this engine is going to do the same thing since it's based off the same powertrain. All right, guys, will it wheelie, and is the seat comfortable? Yes, it will wheelie. We turned wheelie control off. DTC was on 5, and there still was some kind of wheelie control. You could feel it on the powertrain. So, yes, it wheelies. The seat is very comfortable. Look how thick and plushly padded it is. That is a comfortable seat. The rear passenger seat is broad enough where you could bring a passenger. Have to be a small passenger, but you could do it. Let's do another question here, guys. How are the windshield wipers? Ha ha ha, very funny. Is it twice the bike of an MT10? Realistically, MT10 and this bike, they're not even in the same category. Yeah, the MT10 is a liter class size naked bike, and this is a liter class above sized naked bike with the 1103cc engine, but this thing is just so much more high performance than the MT10. Basically, the MT10 is like riding a Goldwing, and this thing is like riding a Panigale superbike. It's just not even close. It's not even the same. Yes, the price is double, but if you're a performance rider who really wants a high-tech, high-spec motorcycle that you can haul ass on, there's no question, this bike is it. All right, guys, that's enough Q&A. Would I spend $24,000 on this V4S? I would not. I would buy the standard Streetfighter at $20,000. While I like the Öhlins semi-active suspension, it's good, but it's not great. The forged alloy rims, I'd be cool with cast alloy rims. That'd be totally fine for me. And I would rather just save that $4,000. I don't need the Öhlins suspension. I don't need the forged wheels. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Let's talk about the winglets real quick. We forgot. Those winglets generate 60-some pounds of downforce at 167 miles per hour. Realistically, it's a styling exercise. You're not going to want to go 167 miles per hour on this motorcycle. There's no front fairing. There's no windscreen. It's going to be hard to hang on at that speed. Kudos to Ducati for putting those winglets on, but they're kind of silly, to be honest with you, but they do look good. But would I spend $24,000 on this motorcycle? We just talked about it. I'd buy the base bike. There's a lot of great liter and above size naked bikes in the market, but no bike has the charisma or the engine performance or even the handling performance of this bike. It really is a very unique high-spec bike. So good job, Ducati. All right, guys, that's a wrap. Make sure to read the article on motorcyclistonline.com, and we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.